Thank you both so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules, because we're all so busy, to come and be on my podcast. But, I am releasing a new album in June, just released the first single, and both of you wrote songs with me for that album. And so I just have so much respect always for the writers, the musicians, the people who do all the other stuff that they don't get the credit. It's like, I'm the quarterback.
Yeah, you are.
The quarterback gets all the glory, but it's like they're not, taking into account all the people that blocked everybody so that he could, do his thing. And so I love talking to songwriters and also hearing how people decide that they're going to do things. You know what I mean? Like, how do you decide you're going to be a songwriter? And so I guess we'll just start. I start every podcast by just saying, Melissa, take 30 minutes 30 seconds.
Like, oh boy.
Talk for 30 minutes right now. And just kind of tell everybody who you are and a little bit about, how you got to be here today.
Okay. Hi. I'm Melissa Fuller. I am from Wyoming. So there's like 3 of us in Nashville. It's like me, Ian Munsick, Josh Dorr.
Love it.
We're the Wyoming posse.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I did not know you were from Wyoming.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love Wyoming
We
so much.
should do a writing retreat in
Please.
Wyoming.
Yes.
Please.
Right?
That would be amazing.
Have you ever done one
No.
there? Okay.
No. I mean, I've talked about it for years with people, but it's kind of a
Wyoming's
hard
my
place to get to.
It's hard to get to, but
Yeah.
man, it's worth it when
let's
you're
hole up
there.
and
Yeah,
happen,
it's worth it.
right?
Yeah.
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 Okay, so you're from Wyoming.
So I've been here for 18 years, which feels crazy because I'm like right at that cusp of being here as long as I was, in
home.
Wyoming.
Oh, yes.
And that balance is
Yes.
wild.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so are you from, well, I guess every town in Wyoming is a small
Yeah,
town.
they're all small.
Yeah.
I was born in Sheridan, which is up by Montana. And then when my dad went to school, we lived in Laramie for a little bit. And then I was raised in Cheyenne. So
How
it's
did
just
you-
rodeo.
I love what is it? Wild West Days?
Oh,
Or-
Frontier Days.
Frontier Days.
The largest outdoor rodeo in the world.
Oh, amazing.
Amazing. I remember playing there and Avery was little and he was like, we're in Wyoming. He kept saying that over and over. But
like,
how did you end up here? Like when did you start writing all that?
It was Cheyenne Frontier Days. So I always played, the free stages or the side stages at all of the county fairs in the Rocky Mountains. And I was playing my hometown rodeo, out in the fairgrounds on the free stage. And that night, Blake Shelton was playing. And it must have, been after sound check. The crew had time to kill. They were walking around. And his sound engineer, a guy named Tim Moore, saw me singing on this free stage. And he found my parents and he was like, hey, she needs to come to Nashville. He's like, let me help, connect you guys with some people. She would really love it. And he is the reason I ever came to Nashville.
How did you start singing in the first place?
Church. Yeah, I was 3.
Yeah.
3, yeah. Did my Sandy Patty.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we're friends.
Yeah. I love Sandy Patty.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Loved her. Did she sing One Day at a Time or was that Lulu?
I don't know.
I don't know. I just remember Sandy Patty had a children's album.
Yes.
Friendship Company.
Yep.
And I wore it out.
Wow. Oh my God. So you took his advice.
Yeah. Yeah. And my parents, we came here and he kind of set some stuff up so I could go into a recording studio and I could co-write with people. And I was 14 and I was just hooked. It was like, this is it. This is all I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a very, very profound experience on my life.
Are you an only child?
No, I'm the oldest. I have a younger sister and a younger brother.
Okay. Oh my gosh. And do they have music?
Yeah. I mean, my sister's an amazing dancer. And a great singer. And then my brother he can do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
And he plays drums. He can play guitar. He can play all instruments. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think I always say this to them jokingly, like my brother, I think he's a lot younger. He's like 7 years younger than I am. And I think he just saw me flail for so many years that he was like, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. Not taking that chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay.
But he's like by far the most talented one out of
Really?
everybody. Oh yeah.
Does he play locally, like around?
He did in college. He went to Belmont. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when he went to Belmont, did y'all live together or hang out all the time?
No, I mean, I was just so much older. I was married and, just he got to live his life in college and I was being a good young
A
wife.
responsible adult.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That is crazy. So there are 3 people from Wyoming in Nashville. I love that.
Yeah. My sister lives in Connecticut now, but yeah. Wow. And my parents moved here. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Emily,
she has really supportive parents.
Yes.
I love her parents.
So supportive.
you're so lucky.
Yeah.
You're so lucky because I had to leave everybody behind in Missouri. My mom, I have 6 siblings. And so there were just, so many more things that she had to take care of. I wish they would have moved here with me. Yeah. That would have been great.
I feel like that's an easier thing to do now because people's jobs can be, virtual or remote or whatever. But that I don't feel like there has been a time until now where that's really been an option. Yeah.
Oh my God. I will chase my kids all over the world if they move.
Same.
I'll go anywhere they go. Now, do you have kids? You have one?
I have 2.
Two boys.
2 boys.
That's right. That's right. I can never keep track of the kids. All right, Emily, what about you?
Yeah.
Emily Shackelton, everybody.
Big fan. Big fan. Big fan.
Same.
I'm from a small town, northern Minnesota, 900 people, more lakes in Minnesota than people. And I like to say that there wasn't a lot to do there. There were only 2 radio stations that came in. So I grew up on my parents' record collection.
Okay.
So it was Carole King, Carly Simon, Elton John, Stevie Wonder,
So your
Billy
parents
Joel.
had badass taste in music.
They were amazing. Yeah, they got engaged at a Dan Fogelberg concert. And to this day, Dan Fogelberg is like my all-time favorite musician.
Whip out a Dan Fogelberg song real quick.
There's a place in the world for a gambler.
Oh,
my favorite. That's my
favorite. That was beautiful.
He passed away maybe like 6 or 7 years ago now. And it was over Christmas break. And my whole family was at home. And we sat on the couch and cried together. My brother, myself, and my parents. Because he was like Uncle Dan. Like he had just been so... I always assumed I'd get to see him live. And he was just a big influence on my music. So, his melodies are otherworldly.
Name, because obviously I know who he is, but I can't think of any of his hit songs right now.
Okay, so
name a big one.
His 2 big ones are Longer Than there have been fishes in the ocean. I've been in love with you.
I love, oh my God, I love that song.
That's how my dad proposed to my mom.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But then he also has Same Old Lang Syne, which is like this beautiful country story song of just like 2 exes running into each other at a grocery store. And it's New Year's Eve. And you have to listen to it. It's just amazing. But yeah, he recorded a lot of his albums right here, Music Row. Mm-hmm. And he was part of that crew, James Taylor, Carly Simon, where they were, Carole King, where they were all playing on each other's records.
Yes.
And so I came to town and I was just like, oh, everybody just plays on everybody's things. And
right.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Nashville existed. Mm-hmm. I had heard of country music, but I just grew up on the folky side of things. And then I started high school and some girlfriends were like, you have to hear this song. and it was Suds in the Bucket.
No way.
And from there, it was the Dixie Chicks record.
Yep.
It was Faith Hill, This Kiss.
Yep.
Martina McBride, Independence Day. Born to Fly. Mm-hmm. And suddenly I was like, I'm all in. Like,
Yes.
This is what I want. Like, these queens of country, they're singing story songs. This is what I write. This is what I want. Like, I'm all in.
Yeah.
I still didn't understand, like, that you could be a songwriter. I always grew up thinking, like, you were an artist, so you wrote your own songs.
Same. I had like no concept that, a songwriter is a job.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Me neither. Excuse
Right.
me. I just
No, you're
kicked you. Yeah, same. I didn't know I could write songs
Right.
until I got my record deal, and Renee Bell was like, you really need to start co-writing. And I'm like, oh no, I mean, I've been on stage since I was 6 years old, singing in bars, covering songs, but I can't write songs. And she was like, I know you can, because if you're
Share
a
your
musician, it's in there. So yeah, I'm the same way. I did not realize that was something that I would be doing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I discovered a college called Berkeley my senior year. I already had a scholarship to a college in Minnesota. I broke my parents' heart when I said, actually, I'm moving to Boston in 3 months. And
What instrument did you audition on?
I guess piano and voice, but I auditioned on a song that I wrote. Like, I just was like, this is me. Like, I'm going to be the singer-songwriter. And while I was at Berkeley, my professors were like, you need to go to Nashville. Like, your songs really lend themselves. And I was like, what's Nashville? And then they told me about it, and they were like, you could be a staff songwriter. I was like, what's a staff songwriter? And it just like fell into my lap as far as like, you should do this. And Berkeley does a Nashville trip once a year. So I went on that trip. It's sort of like a behind the scenes thing. Like, it's not the way it is in real life, right? But they open a lot of doors for you for that week where you can just kind of see behind the scenes.
Right.
And I saw enough where I was like, sign me up. And no one realizes how hard it is at the time. But
Right.
I was dating my husband in college. We got married and we moved to Nashville like directly from our honeymoon. So he found us an apartment like sight unseen. I drove down with my dad with all of our wedding gifts. Saw my apartment for the first time that I'd be living in.
Oh,
and
gosh.
yeah, and I've been writing songs ever since. It's crazy.
Did either of you ever do the artist deal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because that was the track I was on. That was the path. I didn't know you could just be a songwriter.
Yeah.
Even though what I first started doing was writing songs.
Right.
That's how I even, before I started performing, I was really writing songs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lit the candle.
Yeah, it lit the candle.
And for the fans, what I just want to interrupt really quick and say is that what the fans probably don't realize is like, every time I go and co-write with a female, that female has an unbelievable voice where it's not like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody is the same. It's just that different things happen to different people.
The stars line up differently.
The stars line up differently, but I'm always amazed, and I'm always like, you write the melody, I want to write the lyrics, because I love hearing great female singers' melodies and what you guys come up with. So you did the artist deal. Did you sign with a label and everything?
Yeah, I mean, and I toured and, made a record, and the timing for me was just bad because so much of it really is luck.
It is.
Yeah. And so it was like when everything was happening for me as an artist is when the music industry was basically collapsing. And it was like the Napster era, where
Right.
like the major labels were all, merging and everybody was getting dropped and they couldn't make money and nobody knew what to do. And it was just, that was where my timing hit.
About what year was that?
Oh gosh, probably 2004, 2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember, the whole, and I want to ask you guys so much about this, but our nails are so similar. Like, they're almost the exact same color.
I kind of want though, like
crazy.
yours are like a little bit ombre.
It's this girl that comes to your house and she's becoming kind of famous because she'll give you a huge discount if you post about her and stuff.
Sure.
And she puts these nails on that you've never seen at a regular nail shop.
Is she like Russian or Ukrainian or something like that?
No.
Okay. I
she's
just had a Ukrainian
gorgeous.
girl do my nails for the first time, and she takes like 2 hours instead of 1, but it's like the best manicure.
It's the best. And this is just, she calls it chrome. She just puts some kind of chrome on it. Anyway.
Love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Your Trace Adkins nails. They're your Trace Adkins nails. Chrome.
Chrome.
That's what I want to talk about. So when I got my record deal, and like you're talking about that time period of like Suds and Born to Fly and the Dixie Chicks and Martina and all that, growing up on stage and covering everybody's music, it never even crossed my mind that one day country music would be so male dominated that it's just beyond the pale. I mean, because I grew up singing so many different female artists, the Judds, Trisha Yearwood, Patty Loveless. And then where would we be if we didn't have the music from Loretta Lynn and Patsy Cline? And so I remember after A Little Bit Stronger, we went back out with an album after that called Slow Me Down. And I remember thinking, you probably have a song on Slow Me Down. 2 songs. Yeah.
Can't Stop and Gotta Have You.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. I love both of those songs. And we had the guy from The Fray.
Me too.
Come in and sing on Can't Stop.
Like, it should have been.
Yes.
Should have, could have been.
Who
But it
did
was,
you write Can't Stop with?
Victoria Banks, who wrote Saints and Angels.
Yes.
And Phil Barton. And the 3 of us also wrote Gotta Have You.
And Phil is from Australia, which I have to talk to you about. Your Australia connections. It's so weird.
Your Australia connections.
Same. Exactly. But why you? I mean, it's weird. We're going to talk
Your
about that in a
people are
minute.
my people. Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're dear people.
Yeah.
They are. I love
Why?
Australians.
Because they're wonderful.
Yeah.
They're very polite. They're very polite. But anyway, Slow Me Down, I started thinking, it seems like it's getting really, really difficult to get my music played. And country radio never made it easy on me. Like, they would never give me like the 3 big hits in a row. It's like Groundhog's Day. I mean, I would have Suds in the Bucket, which was like the biggest song of whatever.
Iconic.
Yeah, and then I would go back with the next single and they'd be like, nah. And I would be like, what? The whole album is
Hits.
like this, like what, why? They would never do it. And then you get away from it and you realize there were probably so many things going on. Like, they could have been mad at my promo staff at RCA Records, like a radio guy. If it has very little to do with the artist and the music,
Or
in
the
other
song.
words, or
Yeah.
the songs.
Yeah.
So I noticed that I was like, it's getting harder and harder. I'm doing more and more and more free shows, going out, opening car washes. And I just
That's what
felt
happened with
embarrassed.
Can't Stop.
Yes.
You had recorded it with this amazing pop vocalist.
From The Fray.
Isaac Slate. Yep. And country radio was just like, nah.
And they,
Let's re-record it with
know
the
what they
country
said?
star.
Right. They were like, we don't really want to put a pop. They just use any excuse, to not play your music. Because here's the thing. It's like, they know if they play your music and you're going to get rich and famous, or at least back in the days when we would actually sell records instead of now we just kind of give it away for free. But, it's like, they know if I play the Sara Evans song, she's going to get rich and famous and I'm going to still be at my job. So all the power is in my corner I can make her famous or not. And so you would have to be so careful visiting radio to not make any mistakes, you know. And I'm sure you did a radio tour and all of that. Because if you make one mistake and they say, I'm never playing Sara Evans again, well, you can't ever have a number one record again unless you have every reporting station pushing the song at the same time with the same momentum. It's very frustrating. But then Luke Bryan came out with Country Girls, Shake It For Me. And I love Luke as a person. Like, I just love him. He's so nice and sweet, and we're friends. And he actually used to open for me. But then Florida Georgia Line and then all that stuff. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is just a fluke. And now it's been since about 2009 or 10. Yeah. It's been this way.
Yeah.
So it's very frustrating because there are so many amazing female singers that are just being ignored with amazing songs. So that's why when I get the opportunity to write with such amazing writers as y'all and listen to your amazing voices, you know, it's so refreshing because it's like, but I want to know from y'all, like, do you guys feel the pressure? I'm sure you do, to write those songs that you might not have written if it, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, sure, the pressure is there. And like, you think about, you know, wanting to have longevity in your career and like get a publishing deal after this publishing deal and keep writing. But where I have got to is it's like, I just have to show up authentically as myself. And so there's just a lot of rooms that like what I do doesn't really work in.
Okay.
And I've tried to be in those like hyper male rooms. I just don't have anything to bring to that conversation. And it's, you know, my experience has been like that I'm not really welcome in those rooms. So why would I try to put myself in those rooms when there are so many incredible male artists like that I work with that are more in the like pop, folk, you know, that space.
Like the John Mayer world kind of stuff.
And they want women in the room.
Yes.
And they are welcoming. They want my voice. They want what I have to say. Like, we're incredible collaborators. It's like, that's where I'm going to go.
Exactly.
I love country music and I want to be a part of it, but also like, I'm not going to just keep beating my head against a cement wall.
Right.
Because you can't, you know, a true artist can't, or at least I can't sing anything or record anything that I don't love and believe in.
If it's not authentic.
If it's not authentic, I can't, I cannot be inauthentic.
Well, and that's how I see the women in Nashville showing up so authentically. And maybe that is what holds women back.
Yeah.
Well,
Because we can't be anything other than ourselves.
It's sort of
That's
both
right.
and, right? Because so my first success, first number one was a song called Every Little Thing with Carly Pearce. And it was a ballad out of nowhere. And I remember when it first got chosen, it was going to be like the highway find. And I remember Carly being like, well, that's it, you know, because if you didn't have like the up tempo, like finger snapping one, nobody was interested.
Right.
And that song went all the way to number one. It was really exciting. I had a 2-year-old son. My daughter had just been born. It was just the most beautiful time. And the year after that song went number one, my publisher kept saying, where's those up-tempo hits? You got to stop writing these ballads. Like, give me those big, like, up-tempo hit songs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but your bread and butter is my ballads.
Right.
And
You just had huge success with.
exactly. And like since then, like my successes have been slower, vulnerable songs. And it's just really interesting how the industry is still like, nope. Even though like I'm 2 number ones in now, and
Right.
had a handful of top 20s, and they've all been ballads.
Yeah. And beautiful ones. I mean, every little thing is absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
But yeah, so much of it is just luck. And I don't know, I wouldn't be able to feel proud of something if I just went in, because a lot of times I'll go in and write. Well, this happens to me almost every single time, but I'll go in and write with someone that I've never met, because I just write for an album, and then the rest of the time I'm gone on tour. And so I'll come in with someone that I've never met, and I just can't do that whole, like the, and the bone on the down and a rhyme and the time and the dun and the dun. And I'm like,
And a hook.
yeah. And then a hook. And I'm like, what are we doing here?
And it turns.
Yeah.
Verse 2.
It's like, what are we doing? Like, this isn't, I don't know. But when I got my record deal, it was a good time because they were signing a lot of women. You would sign to the label. The label's job was to make you famous, and then you just did what the label told you to do. Whereas now
You got
have
amazing
to
songs. Like, you just had the best of the best songs, like, pitched to you.
well, thank you.
I mean, think about, like, your songs have just always been iconic, timeless. And it's
Thank
like,
you.
that comes from like a genuine, like, not only people pitching it to you, right? But like those songwriters writing from a genuine place, and you
Yeah.
connecting to it from
Yeah.
a genuine place.
Right.
And that can only happen authentically. Like,
That's
it
right.
can't just happen from like, well, I'm going to write this hit song and then Sarah's going to hear it and she's going to be like, that's a hit.
Right.
You know?
Totally.
You're not looking for like, well, that's a smash. You're looking for like, oh, why does that matter to me?
Exactly. Yes. And then there are some people that, you just write well. Like, I used to write with Tom Shapiro and Tony Martin. And every time we would write, I would go away from the session thinking, I hate that song. Because I would always write lyrics. I just am a lyricist. And I'd be like, I hate it. I hate it. That was the worst song. That was such a waste, And then Tom would go and make a really quick demo. Have you ever written with them?
No.
Like Tom Shapiro. He brings this terrible sounding little, like, it's like a toy piano.
Amazing.
It sounds horrible. And it's like ding, 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 ding. And so we wrote No Place That Far.
Wow.
Perfect.
Wow.
I Keep Looking. You'll Always Be My Baby.
Wow.
And I think one more. And every single time I was like, I hate this song. And then about 3 hours later, he would send me back this little demo that he made. And I'm like, oh my God, this song is amazing. Yeah, but you guys are in the throes of motherhood right now. And I remember that because I took my kids everywhere with me. Sometimes I feel like it's better to just, especially nowadays, like, to just be a writer, because you're not having to do all the bullshit and do the radio tours. The radio tours, I could kill myself
Yeah.
thinking about that.
Yeah. I just wrote with an artist. I wrote with an artist today and an artist last week that were like, I was like, how's tour? And they were like, and you're
Yes.
like, this is what they dreamed of their whole life. And now they're in it and they're like, this is really hard, because it is,
yeah.
you're like, you're giving yourself and you're sacrificing yourself and your time and your energy and like a year of your life to this one song that
Yeah.
they're trying to break you on.
Right.
And you're trying to show them who you are in these 3 minutes. And yeah, I mean, I always wanted to be I only started writing songs at the age of 4 because I thought that's what Celine Dion did. And I wanted to be Celine Dion.
Yeah.
And the older you get, or just maybe the more that you understand the business, the more that I'm grateful that the stars lined up for me the way they did.
Right.
And I think kind of like what you were saying, like I always felt confident to knock down doors with my songwriting. And as far as like the artist career went, I kept waiting for someone to knock on my door.
Okay.
You know, I never felt that confidence of being like, you need to sign me because X, Y, and Z.
Right.
But with my songwriting, I did that. So
I wonder why
I mean,
you didn't feel that way, because your voice is phenomenal.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
It is.
Thank you. I think it was a confidence and insecurity issue. And I mean, like it was what God had for me. Like, I mean, it all worked out the way it was supposed to. But I look back now and I always try to tell artists that are starting out, like, you better be your biggest advocate, because nobody else is just going to come like begging you.
That's right.
To make a record.
And then even after you know, I think getting the record deal is the easy part. Getting the songs played at country radio is definitely the hard part. Yes. Yeah. And it's the part, remember on Jerry Maguire, where he's telling Cuba Gooding Jr., he's like, this is an up at dawn, swallow my pride, eat shit job that I'm out here doing for you that I will never fully tell you about. And I used to think that all the time about the radio tour. Like, people will never fully understand the radio tour and what it is. But then it's like, you know, having a baby, and it hurts so bad, and it was miserable being pregnant and giving birth, but then you do it again because you love it so much.
That's how you get the baby.
Yeah, exactly. And
It's the only way.
it's that's right. And you forget, like, but then I got to a point where I decided I'm not going to go back to country radio. And that was with an album that I have called Words, because I just thought, because with Slow Me Down, I had done, I think, 35 free shows for country radio. And I'm like, you're humiliating me on
purpose. Who's paying for that? The label?
The label.
Yeah. So it's all a promotion budget.
Yeah. So it's time away from my kids.
You are paying for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The only good thing about my record deal, and I think all of them during that time, was anything spent on promotion to get your song played at radio was not recoupable. Everything else was recoupable, but promotion was not, which was good. But I just remember thinking, you're humiliating me. And I was out at one, and remember when Brooks and Dunn like broke apart for a while, and I think it was Kix that decided to have his own solo thing. I remember being at an event, and he was there having to do like a free open a car wash. And, you know, it's all about like, well, if you'll play our new artist, we'll send Kix to do this free show. You know, it's all bartering and politics and trading and all that. So I just finally made a decision. I'm not going to radio anymore because it's not worth it. I'd rather just, you know,
put out your music,
put out the music, and the, you know, we basically, like I said, give it away as it is. Yeah. So the best thing to be right now is a songwriter. I think. Is it not?
I mean, to be very honest, like I don't pay my bills as a songwriter. Okay. I pay my bills singing background vocals for people.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Because
like on tour and the
royalties
or both?
Are literally abysmal.
They are.
As for a songwriter.
Unless you have a song on the radio.
Unless you have a song on the radio.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I still, even though they're like, well, there's all these different outlets like Spotify and Apple Music, you know, ways to get your music out. If you're not being played on mainstream country radio, then you're not
Or if
shit.
you're not streaming hundreds and hundreds of millions of times, that's
right.
when, you know, the math starts to work for like
but even
people who create the songs making money.
That's
even
right.
streaming hundreds of millions of times, that artist is going to make a ton of money. The songwriter,
the master owner makes a ton of money. Yeah. I mean, 100 million streams for a songwriter is about $6,000. And that's a global hit.
The artist doesn't make money either.
Yeah.
Who's making the money?
The master owner. It's whoever owns the recording.
Yeah, it's the label.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, the artist doesn't make money either, except touring, selling merch, and giving your body away for sex. And getting paid for it. No, I'm just kidding. That's it.
Yeah.
Touring. I mean, you have. I don't make money on royalties, or even a song that's streamed a lot. It's the formula is really wrong.
Yeah.
The formula is so wrong.
It's really upside down. It's like the people that are creating the music are not the ones
getting the credit.
Yeah.
Or
being compensated.
We're the
payday,
last
yeah.
ones. Yeah, the last
I mean,
ones.
there have been many times, and this is just a sad reality, where I've made more money singing the background vocals on the master than I made writing the song.
Wow. I remember I used to have my sisters come down all the time and sing. So every record you've ever heard of mine, any of the harmonies you hear, it would be me and my sisters doing it.
So cool.
I remember being in Missouri visiting one time, and Leslie got a check in the mail for singing on the masters, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad, because I did not know that.
Yeah.
That they would still get residual checks,
Yeah.
Yep.
So that made me really, really happy that I'd had my sisters, come down and do that. But yeah, and we just watched the David Geffen documentary the other night where he told somebody from the Eagles, he said, you're gonna make a lot of money, but I'm gonna make so much more money than you. And he was right, because they're just, we're just one person where his label has 10 of what, we're doing. So
Yeah.
it's almost like a big change has to happen, or something has to happen to make it more, but we do it because we love it.
Yeah. Well,
That's what's been really
you're part of the
neat.
solution. I mean, she's going to DC all the time and advocating.
Are you?
Yeah.
It's been really neat. Yeah. So I'm part of an organization called NSAI. I did not mean to have them here today,
But they're here.
That's awesome.
I mean, it all begins with the song is the slogan. And I got to testify before Congress this
wanna
last
go with
year. Please, next time I'm going to take you with me.
I want to go with you.
Oh my gosh, NSAI would flip.
I want to go with you.
It's just really neat. We're advocating for, like representation, especially with Spotify and the streaming companies. Now with AI coming on, there's there's the Elvis Act and all these amazing things that we're trying to get past that, we're always on the back end of.
Right.
We're always a little behind, but trying to get ahead of it and just trying to make sure that songwriters like yourself are compensated. I mean, there was just a new act that was floated in Congress it sounded really nice, but at the end of the day, it compensated all of this to the artist and not to the songwriter. And it's like, well, what about those who are both, right?
Right.
And it's like, it's really neat that NSAI is stepping up and saying, hey, it all begins with the song. Like, how are we going to make sure that the people that were in the room that day are being fairly compensated?
Well, and what listeners of music might not realize is that, like, as songwriters, we don't operate in the free market.
Right.
What we make is set by a government rate court.
Right.
Like,
What?
what other industry in our country does
Tobacco.
the government say you can? Yeah, there
Tobacco.
you go.
Because I grew
But
up on
tobacco has these amazing, like, not amazing, but you know what I mean? Like these top echelon lobbyists.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, the music business is like me, like people like me that are going and we're like, well, I have 2 kids and you love this song of mine.
Right.
And I'm not sure that I could spend another year getting paid this amount to write this song that you love because I have to put my kids through school.
Exactly.
And
it
that's
used to
like
be
a big shock to a lot of lawmakers because
I
they just
bet.
assume that we...
So are they receiving you well? Like,
They are. It's really
great.
neat. It's really neat across the board, both sides. It feels like an apolitical issue as far as like country music is one of those things that seems
Yeah.
to bring people together, which is
Yes.
really neat. And we go in, I mean, you would slay at this because we go in, we play songs live for like each individual congressman or senator and, you know, Marsha Blackburn and all these amazing people where we're like, you know, let
where
us
do you
play
think
you
this
this
song came
song. And they're just like, wow, like we really need to like get on board with this because we can't lose this soul of music.
You know, the whole AI thing that you mentioned scares the shit out of me. But my husband loves to do this. He'll just put in a, you know, whatever, and it'll write a song. And I'm always like, stop it!
You're making it smarter.
Yeah, you're making it smarter. And, you know, I really, really, really hope and pray that whatever happens politically with our government, that they're very, 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 very careful with AI. Because, you know, like you hear Elon Musk talking about it and he's afraid of it, even though he's created most of it. He's like, this is dangerous. So I want somebody in there for more reasons than songwriting. But I felt that way about the TV writers that went on strike. I was like, good for them.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it's the same damn thing.
Yeah.
They're in there
It
writing.
is, but they can
At least they have a
unionize.
union.
We can't.
Songwriters
we are
cannot
barred.
Why?
unionize because we are government
This
statutory
podcast is
rate.
just pissing me off.
I know. We are government statutory rate, and a lot of it comes from like 1911.
Yeah.
I mean, there is something called the Music Modernization Act, the MMA, which NSAI was a huge part of, which has gone a long way to get us a few more tenths of a cent
Right.
per recording. But it still is mostly rates from phonograph times.
My God.
like
Yeah,
people
the phonograph. Like,
back
have you
when
even
they
ever
were
seen
selling
one in your
like
life?
pre-records.
I know.
I mean, yes, same. But you know what I mean? Like pre-records, that
Right.
should not be what
Okay,
we're
because
getting
here's
paid off of.
Right, because here's the deal. You sign a record deal with the label, and they recoup everything that they pay for. They're just
The
a
label
bank
gets
They're a
paid
bank. Yeah.
first.
first. And then the next person to get paid, or what I remember, is the producer. The producer gets their money up front. They charge a shit ton of money. And
And the engineer and
I did that once, and then every record after 3 Chords and the Truth, I co-produced because I produce my own records anyway. I'm like, I don't even need you. I just need, I need you to organize the sessions, basically.
Right.
Okay, so it is always the artists and the writers that are making the money last and the least amount of money. I'm so glad we started talking about this because we should do a whole other podcast on this.
It's
And
crazy.
it is insane.
You need to have, I mean, there's some people at NSAI that you would just love to talk to.
I think my manager has, or I think they have asked me to do a couple of things, and I've been,
I'm going to bring you with me next time.
yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go to DC.
You did sign on to be one of the artists against AI, or for the bill, the Elvis
Yeah, the
Act.
Elvis
that's
Act.
passed.
Yeah,
You were
yeah.
listed on that.
Yeah.
Yay. Yay.
Because I mean, AI, you know, I mean, it does write a good song every now and then. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. There's no soul. But I feel like, you know, the whole world is like that. The soul is being ripped out of us.
And it takes people to stand up.
It
And
really,
it's
really
not
does.
Easy. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But it's important. And
It's so important.
I would love to go to DC with you.
I would love that. Because what I was saying was the label gets recouped. So it's not fair that they just own the masters.
And they're making a ton of money on streaming. as
yeah.
well.
I mean, labels
like they make
billions
so
a
much
quarter.
money on streaming.
Yeah. Like they've
We don't
never been
see
more
that.
profitable.
We don't see that. And labels are bleeding money from streaming.
Wow. And they're still trying to sign people to the 360 deals.
Oh yeah,
all
there's
that.
still. So there was just someone yesterday that told me they wrote this 2-way song. It was really special. The whole label flipped out over it. And then they got word from the producer that it was their favorite song on the record, like amazing. And then 6 weeks later, right before the record was coming out, they got word from the producer's manager that they really felt like the producer should get some writer credit on it.
Been there.
I mean, been there so many times, right? But this writer is like top of their game. Like, you do not ask this writer for that.
Right.
And luckily she stood up and was like, hell no.
Yeah.
But her publisher also publishes the artist. And so they were like, are you sure? It's going to happen more and more.
Yeah.
Are you sure you don't want to just give them the publishing? And that publisher would have made double the publishing if she had said yes. And she was like, hell no. And
Good for her.
Good for her.
Yeah.
But this is happening more and more.
Yeah.
And this is the reality of the business we're in. And
Yeah.
I mean, we've got to be very careful. It's a slippery slope, and there's a best practices scenario. And if you're not in the room, you don't get a percentage.
Yeah.
The thing is, there's something in me that is so all about justice, and I despise injustice. And, you know, when I know that people are lying to me or hurting other people, because I guess I'm not really that way with myself. Like, I'll allow myself to just kind of, you know, I don't take up for myself as much as I do other people, but I hate that kind of injustice. And maybe that's my next calling, is to help change it, because it has to change or it will die.
Exactly.
It will.
Exactly.
And then it'll just be AI.
Songwriters are going extinct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We are. I mean, we are. Like, the numbers are down for the amount of people that are signed to publishing deals, because publishing is not a financially...
There was
valuable
about 2,000.
business.
Yeah.
There was about 2,000 songwriters when I moved to town, and published songwriters that make a living. And there's about 200 of us now.
Yeah.
That is so sad. That is so sad. Wow. But see, these people won't, yeah, it has to be, like, you're exactly right. And it has to be laws. There have to be laws that are changed.
Or like laws that go away.
Or that go away.
We can just operate in a free market.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
any other business.
I never knew that.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Right.
never knew that.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll
My
never.
ex-husband, when we divorced, he got half my royalties, all the way up to greatest hits.
Whoa.
And that was sickening, you know,
course.
but Tennessee's a no-fault state, and we didn't have a prenup. He filed for bankruptcy, and now some person that I don't know owns half of my royalties,
What?
because I tried to buy them from the bankruptcy estate person, and my ex kept coming in and saying it's worth so much more than that, like raising the price up for me. Finally got to a price that I couldn't afford, and somebody else bought it. And so now half of my royalties of every song that I wrote, Born to Fly, I mean, perfect, I keep all of those, belong to someone that I don't even know.
Oh, your life's work.
My life's work. Yeah.
Wow.
So are you going to keep songwriting?
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like we were just talking before we came over here, like, I'm tired. This week, I'm doing so many things.
And we're moms.
And we're moms,
Right.
you know, but it's like, we're also in the peak of our careers.
Yes.
And it's like, we just have to keep saying yes to things. And, you know, I have to keep myself from being in a mentality that was like, oh, if I only was a writer 20 years ago,
Right.
I know.
the amount of money that I would be making from the success that, you know,
Yes.
that I'm having as a
know.
writer,
I know.
it would be so significant.
I know
Exactly.
our friend Victoria Banks, who wrote Saints and Angels, which is such an iconic song.
I love
mean,
that
like, your
song.
voice on that song. she always shares this story where she, you know, had a car that you had to short out with a beer can, like short out the starter with a beer can because it was like that crappy of a car, right?
Yeah.
And she heard Born to Fly, or she heard Saints and Angels on that from the Born to Fly record for the first time. And she was pedal to the metal. And before too long, she saw blue lights in her rearview mirror because she was driving so fast, listening to you sing this song of hers. And, you know, she got quite a speeding ticket. She had to go to traffic school. And from that record, which was just like the sales of the actual record, right? She bought a new car, you know, paid for traffic school and all of these other things. I'm like, wow, if I have a song on a Sara Evans record, I won't see a dime.
Exactly. And neither will I.
Right. Unless it's on the radio, right? Like
Unless
this
right.
This is what's left. And we all are like, well, yes, I would keep songwriting because I'm a songwriter.
Yeah.
Right.
At this point, this is what we've done for 20, 25 years.
I've always wanted to make a ton of money doing it. But I mean, gosh, I'd have given up and gone into music therapy or something by now if I was trying to like have a sure shot. Like, we do this because we love it. We do this because we write these little sing-songy songs for our kids, you know, like from the time they're born. Like, Ben and Ruby have their songs. They know how to tie their shoes because mom made up a song. They know their colors or their numbers, or and that goes farther than that, right? Like, we have this song in our hearts. We share it with our family, but there's a reason. God gave us this something to give.
Yes.
And we can't keep it inside. That's not what he called us to do.
That's right.
And at the same time, we're in this moment in time where we're choosing to do it. It's not like the money's coming into where we're like, well, I guess I'll do it, you know?
Exactly.
So it's a really interesting time where I think we love what we do. We're very grateful that we get to do what we do.
So grateful.
And it's sad.
And it's sad at the same time. Yeah.
It's really sad.
It's like when you would release a single and then if it went up to number one, then by the time your album came out, you know, you could go platinum that week or, you know, whatever. And it's just, as soon as all that, you know, and the labels should have caught on to it when Napster started, and they should have done it themselves where they're like, we're going to, you know, so you can stream from our artist, and, you know, at least their artist would have continued to make money. So yeah, well, I want to really, really, you know, focus on this, and I would love to go to Washington with you. And
oh my gosh, you and me are going to go take some meetings later this week. You're going to regret ever saying this because I'm going to hold you to the fire now.
Hold me to it because I want to do something meaningful.
I've been like, Melissa, you need to be on the board.
I would love to.
I'm going to nominate you. I mean, like, your wisdom and your experience and your point of view, just like, man, the board needs that.
Yeah.
And yours as well. I mean,
I feel like a board needs to be comprised of people from all walks of a career.
Correct.
And we're lacking
the middle class.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm probably low income.
Musicians, artists.
I mean, that's me, right? Every year they're like, look at that sad girl. She can't keep writing for her family if she does, you know, like, it's like, oh my gosh. They're putting me before Congress as like the sad girl who can't make money.
That has like 3 number ones.
Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
You just show up with like ratty clothes on, and
I know.
I'll let you borrow this.
I'll let you borrow really, I know, right? I mean, you and me and our suspenders and our overalls. I feel like it's a kindred spirit thing.
It is. It's
the
so
first
weird.
time I saw you at your house. You were wearing these like black Free People overalls, and I was like, I have those.
Yes, yeah. And we wrote one of the saddest songs in the world about
Which is, our specialty. I
letting
think.
you go.
Yeah.
About
it's for
your
Avery.
child. Yeah. And at the time, I was like, I'm gonna
Benny
die
was like
because
6 months old.
right.
And Avery was graduating from.
Avery was the end of
high
his junior
school?
year,
Yeah,
and he was going to graduate, and we were doing all that stuff, and I thought I would die, but then it turns out that they really don't leave you, so when the time comes, don't worry so much, because
love that.
I see my kids every day.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
they really don't leave you. It's just the end of an era that is wonderful, but adult children are amazing.
love
they
that.
are my best friends, like literally. So
That means you're a good mama.
One can hope.
thank you.
Yes.
It's the best thing I've ever done. Far beyond music, far beyond anything I've ever done is be a mother. And it's the one true thing that I've truly always enjoyed, as much as I love music and as grateful as I am for having had success in music, the only success I care about is that, people like my kids and they're great human beings, and y'all's are too. And, we're going to cry again.
Yeah, I know. It is.
talk
It's all
about
about
them
like,
without crying.
we just want them to be kind and kind of
That's why
themselves
you don't spoil
as
them.
well. Yes. Yes.
Because you want people to like them.
Yes. It's like, I don't care what your accolades are. You just be a nice person, and
That's
I'll be
right.
very proud of you.
That is right.
Yeah.
And in general, in the world, because, the world is wacky right now.
Yeah,
But God is always providing and protecting.
absolutely.
So we're going to get this,
Before us and behind
we're going to
us.
get this payment stuff worked out for artists, because where would we be without like the best Fleetwood Mac song you've ever heard? And a person wrote that.
If there wasn't music, I don't know
Right.
what we would have.
That's right.
We feel our feelings, so you can too.
That's right. Yes. And it all starts with a song.
And it all starts with a song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies, so much for being on the podcast. I really, really, really appreciate it, because I know how busy y'all are.
Really quick, are you going to be planting flowers this summer in your garden?
You're going to be
horses?
planting flowers in my
I
garden.
have a little gift for you.
You do? Yeah. If you'll tell me what to do, I will try.
I mean, I'm going to come over to your place.
I would love that.
You're going to get to choose some first before I come over.
Oh my God.
So
Wait.
this is one of my favorite books.
Wow.
From Grace Rose Farm. Shout out to Grace Rose Farm.
Grace Rose Farm, Garden Roses, A Complete Guide to Growing and Arranging Spectacular Blooms by Gracie Linda Polson.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
That
She's
is
one
amazing.
of my favorite flower farmers. And when you started talking about wanting to do flowers, I was like, I have a book for you.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
That is so sweet. What did you bring me? She's like, thanks, cowboy boots.
You can have my boots.
Thank you.
Yes,
So
of course,
sweet. Will
of
you sign
course.
this for me, though?
Oh my gosh. I'm sure Gracie will.
But I want you to as well, because
love
I want to
that.
always remember the day that you gave that to me. And
You're so sweet.
yes, thank you guys so much. I'm really, really glad we had this conversation, and I'm gonna run for president of Nashville.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, what we would do if we had a female president of Nashville.
That's right, president of country music.